Welcome to Truth or Consequences, starring Jack Cross and Brad Sullivan.
That's right. Some people don't know that I live in town. Jack Cross, Superintendent of Schools, 6 Martin Drive. I did want to just clarify a couple statements that were made earlier, just for purposes of keeping facts straight. Enrollment projections have in fact been adjusted so they reflect a decrease or continued decrease and updated based on most recent projections. I'm not quite sure how the perception was that we've actually increased our enrollment.
On this point, Jack Cross is inaccurate. Looking at last year's enrollment sheet and comparing it to the enrollment sheet that was prepared this year, the births are listed in the left-hand columns. The projected enrollment is listed in the right-hand columns. When you put these side by side and compare them year over year, what you find is that the birth rates that were shown last year were clearly not in sync with the actual birth rates as reported by the town clerk. The blue line is the Clinton Public Schools, the black line is the town clerk. They have adjusted those birth rates this year as indicated by this green line. However, they mistakenly expected the birth rates to go up in 2013 when they dropped actually 4%, continuing that decline. That said, you would have expected this enrollment chart to be corrected down this year to reflect those adjustments in birth rates. In fact, the enrollment chart increased the projected enrollments. If they'd factored in the enrollment, or rather the birth rate declines, you would have seen a chart that looked more like the red line as these enrollments continued to decline.
Second, despite the fact that our enrollments are going down, over the last 3 years, our cost per student has ultimately dropped from over $15,000 per student to almost $14,000, so a little over $500 a student.
Once again, Jack Cross is completely inaccurate. It's impossible to continue to raise budgets as enrollments go down and expect the cost per pupil to do anything but go up. Here you can see in blue the actual cost per pupil. The surpluses are in green, and then the total cost per pupil, not including the capital spending or the debt service above, which would add another 4 or 5% to these actual costs.
And lastly, while I was okay with the fact that Mr. Carr thought we only had $438,000 in surplus, we are actually projecting between $538 and $588 at this point. To tag along with Phil's comments about the coaches, the other piece that's really important to that is that when we look at coaches as a professional development tool and an ongoing training for teachers, that there's cost savings for having in-house in-service programming versus sending 200 teachers out to various staff development programs over the course of the year is more cost effective and tailor-made for the kind of work that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
If hiring coaches is going to save Clinton Public Schools any staff development or training dollars or travel reimbursement dollars, that certainly has not been budgeted in this year's budget, which in fact increases the cost of training and development 12%. Furthermore, there's no way that they could save enough money by eliminating the cost of training and development, which will be only $73,000 in the current budget year, by hiring 2 coaches to do that training in-house. It simply doesn't make any sense. Jack Cross is just incorrect once again.
There are actually only 2 coaches. There are 3 positions. One's a guidance counselor, the other 2 are coaches.
Jack Cross's comments result in not 1, not 2, but 3 false statements. Clearly, enrollment projections have been botched this year. Cost per pupil is going up, not down. And coaches will not save money, they will cost money and clearly not reduce the cost of staff development.
Board of Ed? Can we get to 8 people? We're at 7.
Can I have an opportunity to rebut?
No rebuttal.
Pardon me? Pardon me?
Oh, you said rebuttal.
Yes, may I?
No, sir.
Okay.
Anybody else with education budget?
Cross-examination.
Negative? No, sir. No cross-examination allowed. You're out of order.
I believe you're out of order.
Maybe. Maybe I am.
By refusing to allow cross-examination or rebuttal, Brad Sullivan denies the Board of Finance access to facts that are material in making decisions about the Board of Education budget for the year 2014-15. So much for truth or consequences, starring Jack Cross and Brad Sullivan. Paid for by Clinton Taxpayers Association, Joyce Allen, Treasurer.